Most traders believe if you could just fix your mindset, if you could just control your emotions, you'd finally become consistent. Not more indicators, not a better strategy, not faster data, just my mindset. You've probably heard Mark Douglas say it more clearly than anyone. He said, if your goal is to trade like a professional and be a consistent winner, then you must start from the premise that the solutions are in your mind and not in the market. Consistency is a state of mind. When you first hear that, it seems to make sense. It explains a lot. We've all seen it. Two traders side by side, same chart, same candle, same strategy, same entries, same stop, same target. One trader executes cleanly. The other hesitates, moves the stops, exits early, then chases the next move. So the confusion feels obvious. It must be their psychology, right? But here's where things start to get interesting. If consistency is just a state of mind, then why do traders know exactly what to do and still fail at it? Why can someone follow their plan perfectly for 3 weeks, then completely unravel on a random Tuesday morning? Why does that breakdown feel automatic, like it happened before you even realized you were making a decision? If consistency is mindset, why does it keep slipping? This is where most trading psychology content stops. It notices the problem, and it blames it on willpower. You must be more disciplined. You must detach from the outcomes. Just follow the rules. But here's the part that never sat right with me. If discipline were the answer, traders would get better simply by hearing the advice enough times. But they don't. And it's not because they're not trying. Oh, they're trying. It's not because they don't put in the hours of the practice. Oh, they put in the hours in the practice. It's because something else is happening. Something that neither trading psychology, Mark Douglas, nor anyone else has explained. I'm not here to tear down Mark Douglas. His work has changed how traders think about themselves. He was right about something crucial. The market is not the enemy. But this is where his framework stops. And unfortunately, a lot of traders start blaming themselves. They assume if I'm not consistent, something is wrong with me. They blame themselves, they put more pressure on themselves, and the situation worsens. That spiral is expensive, financially, emotionally, psychologically, and if you stay in it long enough, you don't just lose money. You lose trust in yourself, and you are likely to have horrible days, take it out on loved ones, and ruin relationships that you care about dearly. I have watched hundreds of traders with solid strategies fail in the same way. Their discipline vanishes under specific conditions. This pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Consistency does not disappear randomly. It is predictable. It's under the certain pressure, a certain overload, a certain environment that quietly hijacks your perception. This is what changes everything. Perception is not only controlled by internal events. Sorry, Mark Douglas, but it's not. And you can't control everything in your environment that will influence or change or delete or distort your perception. We all want frequent, repeatable events. And that only shows up when the system around you stays within certain limits, but we can't always control that. And the biggest mistake traders make, they think perception is fully self-controlled. That's what trading psychology from Mark Douglas taught, but it's not true. Your perception is constantly changing and evolving and being molded by your environment, exposure, stress, fatigue, financial pressures, dopamine, and adrenaline responses. Most of those things happen before conscious thought even happens. If you don't understand this and how to change it, you will keep trying to fix the wrong layer of the problem. You'll keep attacking your mindset, while the real issue will keep re-triggering you again and again. If you want to develop true consistency in your trading and become consistently profitable, you must watch this video. By the end, you'll know that consistency is not a mindset trick, how to safeguard against perception changes that are without your permission, and how to stop blaming yourself for reactions you didn't conscientiously choose. This isn't dissing trading psychology from Mark Douglas, but it is about correcting it. And once you learn it, then you can develop consistency in your trading. Here we go. You're right to believe that mindset does matter, but the mistake is thinking that you can control it 100%. So let's correct that by defining what does influence it so we can safeguard against it. Most traders and Mark Douglas trading psychology talks about discipline and consistency as if it's something you can master, as if it's something you can control. They'll say things like, some people are disciplined, some people are consistent. And if you've ever struggled with consistency or discipline, you've probably internalized that. You probably start to think, maybe I'm just not wired for this. But that belief doesn't actually match how consistency works anywhere else in life. Let me explain to you what I mean. You don't brush your teeth every morning because you wake up feeling motivated. You do it because it's disgusting. You don't want bad breath. You don't want to lose your teeth. The debate is over when you weigh the odds, right? Other people would start to notice. They'd look at you kind of funny. That's not going to force you to develop discipline. That's not going to force you to use willpower. Think about driving. You don't randomly decide to stop at red lights because you're feeling disciplined. You do it because there are rules, there are consequences. The environment enforces this kind of behavior. Consistency shows up when the environment enforces it, not when you try harder. Consistency is a frequent, repeatable event under similar conditions. Read that again. Consistency is a frequent, repeatable event under similar conditions. It's not necessarily about who you are. It's something that keeps repeating. And that something is easier when conditions don't change. You and I are consistent when the conditions stay consistent. Change the conditions, and our behavior changes automatically. That's not a flaw. That's how humans work. Now here's where trading gets interesting. Most traders are told if you want consistency, fix your mindset. But mindset is both reactive and proactive. It channels the information and energy that comes into it. So we have to work on things that both strengthen our mindset and work on things that could affect our mindset. Mark Douglas trading psychology teaches that mindset and perspective controls our response. I agree with that, but we should take it a step farther. Because what controls perspective? There are things that influence our perspective, and that will affect how we respond. Our mindset and perspective are influenced by pressure. They are influenced by uncertainty. They're influenced by environment. What does this mean? It means if conditions change, your perspective will change. It means if our environment changes, we will change. Even if you don't want to. Even if you want a steel trap mind, even if you want to be immovable in your discipline. Let's make this painfully practical. Imagine that you take the exact same trade setup. Same chart, same entry, same stop, same target, but one day you're trading small. You slept well. There's no financial pressure. There's no problem. Another day, your trade took longer to show up. You're tired. You had an argument. You have other things on your mind. Same trade, different context. Do you really think the internal experience is the same? Of course it isn't. Your heart rate is different. Your breathing is different. Your tolerance for drawdown is different. Your dopamine and serotonin levels are different. And because your environment has affected you, emotions and neurotransmitters are affected. And because emotions and neurotransmitters are affected, perception is affected. It will delete, distort, generalize, or change completely. Your decisions will change. If market makers are successful, you and the movement on the charts affects your perception. You will not even be able to think or reason properly. Not because you suddenly became undisciplined. Not because you suddenly want a different result, but because the conditions have changed. This is where traders get it backwards. They see inconsistent behavior and assume something is wrong with my character when in reality, something has changed in the environment. Pressure, energy, vulnerability, exposure to the environment will affect us and will affect how we think and react. AKA, they will affect our perception. And consistency collapses exactly the way it always does when our systems are overloaded or our threshold is breached. Here's the part nobody tells you. You can be extremely consistent if you engineer the conditions, and you will be wildly inconsistent if you do not. That doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're human. Everyone is. Professional traders don't have unlimited discipline. They know how to structure their environment so it enforces their behavior. They have environments that protect them from crossing their limits. Mark Douglas trading psychology teaches you to control your mind, to master your mindset, to create a perception that cannot be altered. That's not even possible. That would demand superhuman self-control. That's not psychology. That's unrealistic. Here is the critical shift. If you engineer the conditions so that you are consistent in your trading and you have a profitable and probable edge, that's the shift. If you want that, click the link in the description. Sign up for the free mini course. I'll show you exactly what Mark Douglas psychology left out and exactly how to engineer your conditions to improve your consistency.